Hi, Verbling. My name is Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And this class, we're going to be talking about breakfast and other foods and meals in general. Abimelech, welcome to class. And I'm sorry if I totally mispronounced your name. Will you say it
Mm,
once for me so I'm more confident?
Abimelech.
Okay, Abimelech.
Yes.
Good enough. Good enough. Sorry about that. Where are you from? It's nice to meet you.
I'm from India.
Very cool. Well, I'm
Nice to meet
glad
you
you
too.
came to class today.
Thank you.
All right. How long have you been with Verbling?
Uh, it's 6 days.
Excellent. Good to have you here. So today we're talking about food. Do you like to cook?
Uh, I don't like to cook.
No? Why not?
No. Because I don't have time to cook.
It does take a lot of time. So who does
Yes.
your cooking for you then? Does someone do it for you?
Parents.
Yeah, good old parents. They help out. Make sure you stay healthy and fed and strong.
Yes.
All right, cool. And Laura, welcome to class.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Laura. Good to have you with us. Do you like to cook, Laura?
Sometimes only what I want, only what I like.
So, what do you like to cook?
Like cakes, and I don't know if you know, but in Brazil we have a sweet called brigadeiro.
Mm-hmm. Yum.
It's very tasty.
Excellent. So, you like to make cakes and brigadeiros.
Yes, only sweet.
Maybe not the healthiest foods, but they're certainly fun to make and eat.
Yeah.
What about your day-to-day food? Who cooks that? Like for lunch?
What I will eat for lunch.
Who cooks your lunch? Do you cook lunch or does someone else cook it for you?
My parents cook my lunch, and I don't know how to cook lunch.
Wow, excellent. So you're kind of like our other classmate, Abimelech, who said the same thing. He said he doesn't really cook, his parents cook for him.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And Juan Luis, welcome to class.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
So, Juan Luis, to get started today, we're answering the question if you cook. Do you like to cook?
Yeah, I like to cook. I
What
like
do you like
cooking.
to cook?
Uh, what I like meat, or I like pasta, and I like to cook some sweets, and I enjoy not cooking, but if to prepare salad with everything in the fridge.
That counts. So, you like to prepare salads. Cool. I like to cook, but sometimes I feel lazy. So there are times when I'm really hungry and I just don't want to make anything. So I go in my fridge and I do something weird, like I'll just eat just like a raw carrot or just a lot of cheese or something because I'm like, I can't, I'm like, no, it's too much effort, too much work. I can't cook right now. So I just find like some kind of raw ingredient and eat that. But I do like to cook most days. Most days. All right. So today we're talking about food, partially because one of the most common questions I get is about what Americans eat. Whenever I'm abroad, and right now I'm living in Minas Gerais, Brazil, so I get the question, what do you eat every day when you're in the US? Especially here in Brazil because there's really traditional food like beans and rice. That's kind of traditional food every day. But I find it difficult to answer because there's a really large variety of food, And especially in the US, there are so many different traditions. Everyone is different. So I find it really hard to respond to. So today we're going to answer a little bit the question of what do Americans eat? So before we go into some specific foods, I want to know what you guys think. When you think of American food, what comes to mind? And this time I'll start with Abimelech, since you were the first to get here in class today. When you think of American food, what do you think of?
Soup,
Soup. Why soup?
because it's common. It's common in every country.
True, true. Soup is definitely a good cold weather food. Nice warm soup. All right. Thank you. Laura, what do you think? What are some foods you think of when you think of American food?
When I think in American people, I think you eat so much pancakes and bacon with eggs, hot dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Only-
those are some. Go ahead.
Only junk foods.
Yeah, those are kind of the more popularized foods, and they're foods you see a lot in movies, right? In Hollywood, you see
Yeah.
people eat pancakes and eggs and lots of junk food. So that's definitely what comes to mind when people think of the U.S. Juan Luis, what are some foods you think of when you think of American food?
Hamburger, fries, milkshakes, donuts, or T-bones,
What was the last one?
and meat T-bones.
Oh, T-bones, yes, T-bone
T-bone.
steaks. Mhm.
Yeah, T-bone sticks.
All right. And Ansh, welcome to this class. Welcome back today. What do you
Hello
think of
again,
when you
teacher.
think of American food?
Junk food.
Mm-hmm. Like
KFC,
what?
McDonald's.
Yeah, we have some popular brands like McDonald's and Burger King. Yeah. Hamburgers in general, I think, are thought of as like a very typical American food, and it is. However, I'm going to bust some myths here. So, first off, a lot of the food that we see on TV is common in the US, but it's not like an everyday thing. And for me specifically, I'm a vegetarian, so I really do not eat hamburgers very frequently. I know some people who eat them like maybe once a week, and there's certainly people who eat them more often, but it's not like an everyday kind of food. But it depends on the person. So, I'm going to give you guys a document to open in the chat box. And it's a document that has some pictures of breakfast foods specifically. So we're going to talk for a second about breakfast. And while you guys open that document, I want to know what you eat for breakfast. Laura, will you start us off and tell us what you like to eat for breakfast?
In the breakfast, I usually eat orange juice. I only drink orange juice in the morning, and it's only this.
Wow, so not a very big breakfast, just orange juice.
Yeah.
All right. Juan Luis, what do you eat for breakfast?
Orange juice too, and white coffee, and bread, toast bread with olive oil, and some of biscuits or something like that.
Yum. All right, so you have a slightly larger breakfast, but it sounds pretty healthy. Toast with olive oil, orange juice, biscuits. Sounds like a good breakfast.
I think
All
so.
right. Ansh, tell us what you eat for breakfast.
I usually don't have breakfast. I have brunch.
So you skip breakfast and you eat a little
Oatmeal.
later in the day?
Again, please.
You said you skip breakfast and you eat later in the day. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So what do you eat? Your first meal of the day. What does it include?
Um. Rice and the spicy things.
Yum, I love spicy food. So you have kind of a savory breakfast, rice and spicy things. Sounds good to me. And last but not least, Abimelech, can you tell us what you eat for breakfast?
Sure. Usually, regularly, for breakfast, I eat bread with butter and cheese and milk, and sometimes tea or coffee.
Yum, I'm a coffee girl myself. I always have coffee in the morning for breakfast. It's somewhat of a tradition for me. I don't feel right if I don't have my morning coffee. I have the document you guys opened are some traditional American breakfast foods. And my breakfast usually is oatmeal. I really like oatmeal because it's easy and it's relatively healthy. And I like to put milk and something sweet inside. So maybe a fruit or coconut, maybe honey. I put a little bit of something sweet inside my oatmeal. I also really like cereal for breakfast for the same reason, because it's easy. I don't have to cook much. I just kind of put it in a bowl and eat. And I would say I also really like bagels and muffins for breakfast. So I like a lot of starch. And usually I like something sweet for breakfast. But the constant is coffee. I always have coffee with whatever I eat. Some of the other traditional American foods include toast, donuts, scrambled eggs, fried eggs, omelets, hash browns, sausage, bacon, French toast, pancakes, waffles, coffee, milk, and orange juice. But I will say that I don't know anyone who has fried eggs or scrambled eggs for breakfast regularly. This is another kind of myth because people see this in TV that like everyone eats for breakfast fried eggs and bacon. And some people do, but it's usually like a special occasion kind of thing. Maybe on the weekends I would have eggs for breakfast. And of course, I would never have bacon for breakfast because I'm a vegetarian. But I might have pancakes on the weekend, or for my birthday, I might have French toast, something a little more special. But on the whole, those foods are not quite as common as movies make them seem. So what do you guys think of these foods? I'm going to start with Ansh this time. Have you tried any of these foods for breakfast before?
No.
What about for other meals of the day? Have you had fried eggs before?
Yeah.
And why not for breakfast? Why would that be strange?
Micaela?
Yeah?
Here in Brazil, we usually eat fried eggs. No, we call it eggs mixed, ovos mexidos.
Ah, like scrambled eggs here?
Yeah.
Excellent. For breakfast?
Yeah, with in northeast of Brazil, I'm living in Recife. We usually eat eggs scrambled. How can I say? Scrambled eggs with couscous, like Arabian food.
Yum, that sounds delicious.
It's very delicious.
Very nice. All right. What else have you tried, Laura? Any of these other foods for breakfast, like omelet or hash browns?
No, in the breakfast I prefer eat something how can I say, soft, like orange juice and something some kind of foods like you less heavy. I don't know how to say.
So, something that's light, a light
Yes,
breakfast.
yes, light breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I agree. A light breakfast is nice. All right. How about Juan Luis? Have you
Yeah.
had any of these things for breakfast before? Pancakes, French toast, fried eggs?
Yeah, I ate everything of this food, but it's not usually. It's only on weekend or when I travel to US or in other countries. But in my regular days, it's no usually to eat this food.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work to make most of these, which is why I think it's kind of difficult to do every day because you have to spend like an hour making pancakes. It takes a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah.
So when you're in
I
the US, what do you like to eat for breakfast?
Oh,
Scrambled.
I like waffles, French toast, pancakes, and sausage. Everything, everything of it. I like it. I like it too much.
Excellent. Yeah. It is a little too much sometimes. It's delicious, but it's too delicious, right? It's a little heavy to start your day
Yeah.
off with. All right. And last but not least, Abimelech. Have you tried any of these foods for breakfast before?
Oh yes, I have tried toast, fried eggs, omelette, pancakes. That's all.
Yum! And what do you think of pancakes? Do you like to eat them for breakfast?
Yes, but it's a little bit heavy.
Yeah, definitely. I like pancakes, but I prefer to eat them for lunch. I like lunch pancakes better.
Okay.
And we have a recommendation in the chat box. Photon recommends that we put yogurt and chocolate over something, maybe pancakes or something. It sounds good. I certainly love yogurt and chocolate, so maybe I'll try that in the near future. All right. Any other comments or questions on these foods here? Is anyone unfamiliar with this stuff? What about hash browns? Do you guys know what hash browns are?
No.
It's a typical food you'd see in a breakfast restaurant in the US. We have a lot of breakfast restaurants like Denny's and IHOP, and they make this type of potato that's cut really small and fried. So they're tiny fried potatoes. Really smushy.
Oh
They're
yeah.
delicious, but another heavy addition to breakfast. All right. And I think bagels is another one people are usually a little unfamiliar with because they're kind of like a Jewish traditional bread that's typically salty. They're kind of like donuts, but salty and heavier. So that's another one I get a lot of questions on. All right. So then if you guys don't have any other questions on this one, we'll stop for a second and talk about lunch foods. I'll start in the opposite direction and ask what your favorite food is for lunch. Abimelech, what do you like to eat for lunch?
For lunch, I like typical Indian food. It's spicy, rice, vegetables, meat.
I really like the cheese in India. I think it's like unique. I've never had it another place.
Yes.
All right. So you like spicy food for lunch. Yum. All right. Ansh, what do you like to have for lunch?
I usually eat fried fried spicy pork.
Yum, fried spicy pork. Sounds good. Juan Luis, do you have any typical lunch menu items?
Many. Yeah, I like it for lunch paella.
Paella?
Paella, Spanish paella.
And what's in that?
Excuse me?
What's in paella?
What's in paella? Oh, rice or chicken or fish, mussels. Is it in there is very different forms of make out cooking the paella. Depend on the places, the cities, the villages in Spain is very difficult to say what's in paella. Each cooker make the paella in different forms.
All right. Sounds good. And Laura, what do you typically have for lunch?
My favorite food in lunch is rice, beans, French fries, and beef.
Yum, sounds good, although there's no vegetables except for potatoes.
But I eat usually fish with rice,
Oh,
many
yeah.
kinds of fish, and I love pasta, so it's what I like to eat for lunch.
Yeah. Well, sounds good. I don't know if I have a typical lunch food, although I do make pasta a lot. I think because it's easy. I just chop up some vegetables and throw them in with a little bit of pasta. So, especially when I'm in the US, that's really an easy thing for me. But I also like beans. Beans are a really good staple for me for lunch. Or lentils. I love lentils. So, for me, that's a typical lunch. But I don't have a very typical diet, I think, for the US because I'm a vegetarian. So, most of the time people eat meat for lunch, and since I don't do that, I eat other things. Beans, lentils, and pasta. All right.
What's
So I have-
your what's your favorite food in Minas Gerais?
Oh, pound de queijo for sure.
Pão de queijo for lunch?
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe not for lunch, but sometimes it's really good. I could have it all day, really.
Okay.
But I think it's difficult because most lunch food is not vegetarian. But
Yeah.
I think the typical beans is good. Sometimes like feijoãozinho or there's a lot of good salad options. I like
Yeah.
the salad here. There's also another thing that I forget what it's called. Panqueca? Panqueca?
Okay, yeah. Have you ever tried aipim?
Yes. I love fried mandioca. Really delicious.
Yeah, it's really delicious.
Of course, anything fried is pretty tasty.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my favorites. I also really like muqueca, even
Muqueca.
though, yeah, I used to not eat fish, but once I moved to Brazil, I have to eat fish because there's like no vegetarian options. So, and also I really love fish. I think it's delicious. But I had to start eating fish because usually the options are like beef, pork, or fish. Like sometimes there's fish, and so I was like, okay, at least I have like one option. I'm not complaining. It's all really amazing food, but it's difficult for a vegetarian to negotiate all the meat here. Very
Yeah.
cultural. All right, so I sent you guys another document in the chat box. Let's make sure I have this one. This one is more about pronunciation. So it covers a lot of foods and also gives you a hint as to what words sound similar. And I will also screen share it so we can read through some of these words together. some general vocabulary up top, which I think you guys will all be pretty familiar with. These ones we have are breakfast, brunch, lunch, which we've already talked about. And Ansh, I'm getting some background noise on your audio, so I'm going to mute you for now. And if you ever have to say something, you can just unmute yourself at the top of the screen. Thanks a lot. Okay, so the other one that we have that's a little less common is supper. And that tends to be a vocabulary word people use in the South, sometimes to refer to lunch and other times to refer to dinner. So supper can be a synonym to lunch or dinner, depending on what region of the US you're in. All right. Then we have the courses, appetizers, entrees, desserts, and drinks. We have a little bit of dessert vocabulary. A la mode means with ice cream, and it's actually a French phrase, but we use it commonly in English. And then a la carte is when you take a single item off the menu instead of getting a whole meal. All right, so here's the list of vocabulary, and it's divided by vowel sounds. We're going to split this up, and I'll ask you guys to read some of these for us. Let's start with Abimelech. Will you read the I sounds, the very first column there?
Cheese, coffee, cream, meat, tea, turkey.
Thank you very much. Ansh, can you read the E column? This one here that I'm highlighting?
Cake, steak, bacon, potato, tomato, gravy.
Thank you very much. The next two, the ones I'm highlighting here, are going to be for Juan Luis.
Egg, vegetable, ketchup, lettuce, ham, sandwich, salad, and jam.
Thanks. Laura, will you get the next two columns, these two?
Pie, fries, ice, wine, fish, milk, olive, chicken.
Thanks. And we only have a short section left, so let's go back to Abimelech. Can you read those last ones for us?
Okay. Fruit, juice, soup, pasta, hot dog, cauliflower, mustard, water.
Thanks. Okay, so those are just a quick note on pronunciation. Now let's talk a little bit more about vegetarian and vegan, which are some words we have above. What is the difference between a vegetarian and a vegan? Does anybody know?
I think vegetarian don't eat anything with meat, and vegan don't eat anything with animal origin.
Like what?
Like eggs, like butter. I don't know. This kind of things.
Yeah, definitely. So vegetarians, like we already talked about a little bit, there's no beef, no pork, no chicken in general. And then some vegetarians eat fish and other vegetarians don't. That kind of varies. But vegans have a much larger list of things they don't eat. And Laura started us off with butter. Vegans don't eat butter. Juan Luis, what else are some things that vegans don't eat, but vegetarians do eat?
Eggs and everything of milk product. No, I think.
All right. So no butter, no eggs. Ansh, what else do they not eat?
Yeah.
Ansh, are you there?
Yes.
All right, so help us come up with a list of foods that vegans do not eat. We already said butter and eggs. What else are some things that vegans do not eat?
Uh, I'm sorry, please tell the meaning of vegan again.
So a vegan would be someone who does not eat animal products at all. So a vegetarian doesn't eat meat, but a vegan is much larger. They don't eat butter, they don't eat eggs, or any other products that come from animals. Can you think of some other products that come from animals?
Cream,
Uh-huh.
cheese,
Cream and milk, cheese, yeah.
salad,
Well, it depends on the salad, I guess. Most salad could probably be vegan, but it depends. Always depends on what's in the salad. Thanks, Ansh. Abimelech, can you think of any other items that vegans can't eat?
Fish,
Uh-huh.
egg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, there's a huge list, including milk, cheese, eggs, butter. Yeah.
I
One
have
more?
I have some friends that they are a kind of vegetarian, but most have a point of hesitation to eat shrimp.
Ah, shrimp. So,
May,
things like...
sometimes they eat because a part of group consider shrimp not animal, but others think that shrimp are animal, so they have doubts, and in doubt they eat shrimps, but they are vegetarian. What do you think?
Well, I know that there's a lot of variety in vegetarians, and I think that's totally acceptable. Everyone has to do what's best for them. So some vegetarians will be one way and not eat this and not eat that, and others will be a little more flexible. I'm pretty open-minded about it, although I know lots of people who would argue with me and say, you're not a true vegetarian if you eat this or that. But I think it's a pretty open question. Let's get some other opinions. Juan Luis, do you think you can still call yourself a vegetarian if you eat shrimp and fish?
Oh, hmm. I don't. I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I don't understand very good what is really vegetarian. It's option. Yeah, it's, for many reasons. No, when you decide mm, to become a vegetarian people for intolerance. What is say intolerance?
Intolerance?
Intolerance
Uh-huh.
or convictions for keep the animals or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you eat fish, you are no really vegetarian, or I don't
Okay,
have
so you're
an
kind of
opinion.
no strong opinion on that. All right.
No.
Thanks, Juan. Ansh, what do you think? Can you be a vegetarian if you still eat shrimp and fish and some other meat products like that?
Uh, I don't think so.
All right, pretty simple. Thanks, Ansh. Abimelech, what do you think? Can vegetarians still eat fish, or does that make them not a vegetarian?
Yeah, it's up to it's up to you. You choose what you eat or not, because I'm not a vegetarian and I eat everything, so I cannot say
No opinions. All right.
no opinion.
Okay, cool. Well, Now that we've talked a little bit about this, I want to hear about some foods that you guys really don't like. And I'll start off by saying I hate mushrooms. I think mushrooms are so gross. They have a texture that is disgusting, and the taste is not good either. So I do not understand why people eat mushrooms. I think they're nasty. Abimelech, do you have any foods that you really don't like?
Yes.
What?
That is pumpkin.
Pumpkin? Pumpkin is so good!
I really don't like.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't like. It doesn't
Is
taste
it the
good
flavor?
for me. No, it doesn't taste good for me.
All right. Can't argue with that. To each their own. Ansh, are there any foods you really don't like?
Vegetable.
Vegetables? All vegetables?
Almost.
Wow. So what are your strongest dislikes? What are some vegetables you really, really hate?
Uh, I
Potatoes, tomatoes, carrots.
something that is green color.
Anything with green color. All right.
Yes, and bitter thing.
Is it the flavor you don't like?
Yes, and it's
All right.
not good smell.
Okay. Thanks, Ansh. Juan Luis, what's a food you really don't like?
I don't like crude onion and crude garlic. I feel very bad later. I like cooking onion and garlic cooking or fried or something like that. But in crude, I feel bad. I feel bad later.
So it gives you like a pain later, like hard to digest.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. All right. And Laura, what's something you really don't like, a food?
I really don't like spicy foods in general. Anything with anything spicy I don't like because after you have to drink a lot of water, liters of water, and I don't like.
All right, makes sense. I personally love spicy food. You're missing out. But it's kind of an unpopular thing sometimes. I think especially here. I find most people here in Minas don't really like spicy food either.
Yeah.
I guess I'm in the wrong region. I need to go up north, right? There's more spicy food in Bahia, isn't there?
Yeah, yeah. In Northeast, we found many foods spicy, but I don't like.
Too bad. All right. So we have one more document today, and I'm going to put it in the chat box if you guys want to access it. I'm also going to screen share it for you. And this one is a little quiz on the customs of restaurants in the US. So a lot of these answers you guys will probably not know, and that's okay. But just take your best guess, and then we're going to discuss a little bit about the answers. So it's American Restaurant Quiz. I'll ask each of you to read a question, and then just take a guess on the answer. I'm going to start with Laura. Will you read number 1 for us?
When you first enter a non-fast food restaurant in USA, you A. Sit down instantly. Wait to be seated by a hostess. Take a number at the door and wait for it to be called before you sit down.
So what do you think, Laura? What's your first guess?
A non-fast food restaurant, I think we wait for the hostess.
Exactly. Usually you wait for a host or hostess. How does this compare to Brazil? Is it similar or different?
Yeah, it's similar. We when you enter in a restaurant that is non fast food, we wait in the door to a table inside the restaurant, and a hostess show you the way to the table there. I don't know. It's like this.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Juan Luis, will you read number 2 and take your best guess for the answer?
If your non-alcoholic drink is empty and you want to drink, you A. Get another drink for free. B. Buy another drink. C. Drink your friend's drink because you can't buy another one. Oh. I I think it's B. Buy another drink.
All right, so this one's funny. This one's a tricky one. And I think the answer is A, because most non-alcoholic drinks are like soda, right? Like Sprite, Coke, Pepsi.
Yeah.
And those drinks, you can get free refills. So if you buy one, you can have as many as you want for free.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
But obviously, alcoholic drinks are not exactly the same. And neither is juice. Juice is another one where you can't, if you have orange juice, you can't have 2 or 3 for free. You have to buy another one. So it depends on the drink sometimes.
Yeah,
Juan
yeah.
Luis, how does that compare to what you're used to?
Compare in my country you when you drink a non-alcoholic drink you must to buy another drink. Sometimes in American restaurant in Spain used to offer they offer you to refill non-alcoholic, but it's no usually in buy another drink. Sorry, the phone is free.
All right. We'll come back to him. Ansh, will you read number 3 for us?
If all of the tables at a restaurant are occupied when you arrive, you A. Wait until another table is available. B. Sit with people who are already there. C. Leave the restaurant and go somewhere else. I guess B.
All right, sit with people who are already there. I think that probably A is the most common, wait until another table is available. Ansh, how does that compare to what you're used to where you live?
A. It's the same.
Awesome. Something in common. All right. Number 4, Abimelech. Will you read it for us?
Okay. If the service is good, when it comes time to give a tip, you, I think number C.
Letter C. So leave 15 to 20% of the sum of the bill. Yeah, I would say that that's correct. I think the most typical amount is somewhere between 15 and 20% of the sum of the bill. Although, of course, it varies a lot. There's no automatic answer to this most of the time. Sometimes there's an automatic gratuity at really fancy restaurants, but most of the time you have to do the math yourself. Abimelech, how does this compare to India?
It's B.
B, so leave 5 to 10%. So tips are common, but slightly less. Is that the case?
Yeah. Actually, tips are not so common.
Okay, so only if the service was like totally amazing would you leave a tip? Has to be extra special?
Maybe yes.
All right. And what kinds of things do you tip for? You tip at restaurants sometimes. Do you tip for anything else?
Only restaurant, as far as I know.
All right. I like this question because, well, it's different every place. So I like to hear what are some other customs. Laura, what are the tipping customs like in Brazil? What do you tip for and how much do you tip?
We have a rule like when you go to a restaurant, when you ask for the bill, in the end of the bill, we have 10% sum of the total of bill, like 10% more to the waiters. And it's not mandatory, but it's common. You pay 10% for the waiters.
Okay. So at restaurants, it's common but not mandatory. Is there anything else you tip for?
What?
Is there any other services you tip for, like getting your hair cut or getting your car washed or anything else?
When you in my seats, I think in the rest of the country, when you are parking, we have a person that take care of your car, and you have to pay $2 for him to look your car, like they are taking care of your car and you have to pay for it. But it's only in Brazil, I think.
I see. It's kind of like a valet, I guess, but a little bit different. Not exactly the same as a valet. So, okay. So sometimes you tip for a person to watch your car. How about Juan Luis? What are the tipping practices in Spain?
In Spain, it's no common to leave a tip, and the payroll of the waiter is high. It's more high than in the other countries. Then also the tip is no custom, but in general, when you go to good restaurant, you leave a tip about 5 or 10, but no more. It's not very common, the tip in Spain.
All right. Thanks, Juan Luis. And last but not least, Ansh. Tell us about tipping practices. What's common to tip?
In restaurant.
Huh?
Restaurant.
Sorry. What?
I wonder the question again.
So we're talking about tipping practices, and we decided that in the US it's most common to leave about 15 to 20% of the sum of your bill. Meaning, if your dinner cost $20, you would leave probably like $4 in a tip. So the total would be $24.
It's up to the customer that need to pay or not in Thailand. No rule.
No rule, but is tipping common or is tipping not common?
It's up to the customer.
Okay, so everyone gets to choose, but what's the most common custom? Is it frequent that people leave tips, or is it not frequent?
I think in Brazil, everyone wait for the tip. Like if you are in the gas station, the guy who put the gas, he waits for the tip. Everyone waits for the tip, but everything is overtaxed in Brazil, and you have no money to pay everyone. Everyone waits. If they are, how can I say, stopped in the light, like they wait for the tip.
Yeah. Each system, I think, is different. And in Brazil, I think it's harder to tip because of the difference in, like, the proportion of pay. So people generally don't get paid on the same proportion as things cost. Like, I usually find that if I want to go out to dinner, it costs about the same as it would in the US, even though people generally don't make the same amount of money because the real there's like 2 reais per dollar. So people are making a little bit less money, but they have to pay the same for a lot of the same services. Like, gas here is way more expensive than in the US, and food in general, I think, is pretty expensive if you get it at a restaurant. So I totally agree that in Brazil, it's difficult to try to find all that extra money to tip everyone.
Yeah. It's very expensive. Everything is very expensive.
Mm-hmm. But in the US, I like the system of tipping because it lets me kind of voice my opinion, because if I go to a restaurant and I get really good service, I'm happy to leave a good tip so that that person knows that I enjoyed the service. But then again, if I get a waiter that's really rude or brings our food late or cold or isn't very good at his job or her job, I also like that I'll leave a very small tip so that they know I did not appreciate their service. So in the US, I think it's a useful system, and it lets me, like, give my opinion of things. But in other countries, it's really not as common for pretty good reasons. All right. Any other? Oh, go ahead.
I think it's a good practice to leave a tip if you enjoy the service. But how I told you before, is everything is very expensive. So you only say valeu, obrigada, and bye.
Yeah, got it. Any other comments or questions on the tipping before we go on to the next one? We're going to answer a couple more questions today, and I think we're back to the beginning with Laura. Laura, will you read number 5 for us and guess the answer?
Okay. If you don't finish your dinner, you leave the food on the table, offer it to people sitting at the next table, ask for a box to take your food home with you. I usually leave the food on the table, and I think it's a common practice here. But some people ask for the box and leave the food for home.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I always box my food up when I'm in the US, because it's a really common practice to, like, stick your food in a box and take it home. But in Brazil, I find I don't do it as much because it feels awkward. I feel like people think it's strange to do, so I get embarrassed and I don't do it here.
Yeah. We get embarrassed to leave the food for the home.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. All right, let's do number 6. Juan Luis, are you ready to read number 6 for us?
Yeah, it's okay. What type of food is an entry in American restaurant? the main dish, the appetizer, the dessert. Dessert or dessert?
Dessert.
Dessert. Dessert. Country. The appetizer. No, the main dish. Hey,
Yep. Main
main
dish. Yeah. We use a funny French word for some reason to describe our main dish. Entree.
Yeah.
Thanks, Juan. Number 7, Ansh.
At what time do Americans usually eat dinner? A. 8 p.m. B. 4 p.m. C. 6 p.m. I think maybe 6 p.m.
Yeah, I think that's probably a very common time to eat dinner. Even though I prefer to eat dinner more around 8 p.m. What about you, Ansh? What time do you eat dinner?
6 p.m.
All right.
Sorry, 8 p.m.
8. Okay. 8 p.m. So you're like me. Maybe it's a generational thing. And Abimelech, will you read number 8 for us and guess the answer?
Okay. When you are finished with your meal, you must ask the waiter for the bill. The bill that the waiter has already placed on your table without paying. I think it should be A.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's usually what happens. Is it similar in India? How do you pay at the end of a meal?
Yes, that's right. That's A.
All right. Similar. Okay, so below that little quiz we just took, there's a little bit of vocabulary for restaurants. Most of it is pretty simple, but it's worth a look over if you're interested. Do you guys have any other questions or comments before we finish class today?
No.
Oh, sorry. Awesome. Then I'm going to finish up here today, and next class we're talking about passives. So I look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thanks for coming.
Teacher.
Bye everyone.